Good day. Today we're going to do Access Module 2 in Class Project. So make sure you download your database as well as all the supporting files that go with it. You will need all of them. And then let's get started. Step 1 is open the therapist table in Design View and set the field properties shown in Table 1 on the following page. The therapist ID field should be set as the primary key for the table. So I'm going to go to the therapist ID. Now you can double click on this and it will come up and you can see all of the data. And then up here in the top corner you can see this button here that's Views. And if you click on that view, you'll see you've got Datasheet View and Design View. And we want Design View. The alternative to that is you can also right-click on the tables and click on Design View, and it will open immediately in Design View. So you can do it either way. So on Table 1, it tells you all the fields, therapist ID, first name, blah, 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 and then the data types that they want it to be, a description, field size, and then captions. So you've got the field name, data type, and description over here. That's, field name, data type, and description is this area. Then your field size and any other type of captions or validation rules, things like that are down here in this box down here. So we're going to be doing things in both boxes. So therapist ID, the data type is short text. Then you have it as a primary key. And what you'll do is under therapist ID, you come up here and click this button that says primary key. And you'll see this key pops up next to it that says it's a primary key. Primary key means that it cannot have any duplicate values. Field size is 3, which is already set down here at the bottom. And then, in description, they want you to say primary key. And then in caption, which is down here in the bottom, you want it to say therapist ID with a space. Make sure you put that space in there. Next field, last name, short text, field size 25, and you'll see it has a field size of 255 right now, so make it 25. And then the caption wants it to be last name. Okay, first name, short text, which it already is, field size of 20, and a caption of first name. Specialty, short text, field size of 25. Certification, short text, field size of 20. College, short text, field size of 255. And then the hire date, date time, and then under format, hit the down arrow over here at the side. Right there. And they want short date. And then in caption, they want hire date. And that's step 1. Step 2, add a new field to the table so it appears after the hire date field. Use the field name minors and the yes/no data type, the yes/no format property, the default value no, and the caption accepts minors. So we're going to add a new field. So this blank space right after hire date, we're going to name it minors. It's going to be a data type of yes/no. In the format, it should say yes/no. The default value is no. And then the caption is accepts minors. Then it says to delete the college field from the table. So I'm just going to right click on college right there and say delete rows. And it says, do you want to permanently delete? Say yes, and it's gone. Once you're done, right click and say save. Say okay. And then we go on to step 4. Step 4 is in datasheet view. So I'm going to go to view over here and I'm going to say datasheet view. So now we can see all of the data sheets or all the data that's in there, and you see you've got this yes no checkbox for accepts minors. So indicate that the following therapist will accept patients who are minors. Reese, so Reese, McHarg, and Zachary. There we go. Resize the accept minors column in the therapist data sheet to best fit the data. So I'm going to best fit that. And then you're going to save it and close it. Step 6. Import the structure of the patient table in the support PTS database available for download from SAM into the current database. Do not save the import steps. So we're going to go up here to external data. And this is a database that we're importing from. So import and link, and we're going to import from another Access database. And find the file that you're looking for. And here's your support, NP, A13, T2, so on and so forth, PTS. That's what we want. Okay, you're going to import tables, queries, forms, so on and so forth into the current database. Say OK. And then under import objects, you want tables, and we're importing the patient table. Make sure you click the patient table and it's highlighted in blue. If you don't do that, then it's not going to import it. Once you're done, click OK. Do not save the import steps and say close. And now you'll see we have a patient table here in our current database. Open the patient table in Design View and then update the field properties in Table 2. Patient ID should be set as primary key. So I'm going to right click and say primary key for patient ID. I'm going to put a description, primary key. Field size should be 6. And the caption, patient ID. And I'm going to go through each one of these. Make sure on state you put that default value of Ohio or OH. So when it says description, just type it exactly as it says. Once you finish this, then save the patient table and then go to Datasheet View. And then it wants you to enter in the records shown in Table 3. So there's 2 records to enter in. Okay. Then it says that step 9 says Jennifer exported her existing patient data to a text file and asks you to add this data to the patient table. So again, we're going to go to external data. This time it's a text file, so we're going to click text file. And we're going to browse for the data, and it is this support patient text file. So we're going to say open. And we're going to select the option to append a copy of the records to a certain table, and we want to select the patient table. And then we say OK. It's currently open and must be closed before proceeding. Yes, I want to close it, so it's going to close it. And then we want to choose the option to import delimited data, which that's already selected. So you click next, and then we use a comma delimiter to separate it. So say next, and then we import it to the table patient. And do not check this box, leave it blank, and say finish. Do not save the import steps, and close it. And once you're done, if you want to open the patient table, you'll see all that data is imported. And then close your patient table. Step 10, open the billing table in Design View. So we're going to open in Design View, and you're going to set all the properties as we have done previously. So I'm going to pause the recording and do that so you don't have to watch me do it, and then I'll start back up again once I have that done. Okay, I'm back. So you can see I've set up all the fields. Primary key, foreign key, change this to date, time, currency, and number, and then you change your corresponding field settings down here. In Design View for the billing table, move the Sessions field so that it follows the end date field. So we want to move Sessions above Amount, and you just literally click it and then move it. Okay, step 12. Use the Import Spreadsheet Wizard to add data to the billing table from an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to save this, the table, and then I'm actually going to close it because I think it's going to ask us to do it anyway. So external data, this time we're going to do an Excel spreadsheet. Browse for the file, and then append a copy of the records to the billing table. Click OK. And we want to choose Sheet 1, which is already selected. And say Next, just so that you can see it. Say Next again, and then say Finish. Do not save the import steps. And then if you'd like, you can open up the billing table and see that they've entered everything in. Okay. In Design View, create a new table using the information shown below in Table 5. The location ID field should be set as the primary key for the table. Save the table as location and then close the table. So we're going to go to Create, and we're going to do Table Design. This is going to bring our table up in our new table in Design View. And again, we're going to enter in our information. Field size of 3. I'm going to go back and change my field sizes in a minute. Okay, so address, field size of 35, city, field size of 25, state, field size of 2, zip, field size of 10, and phone, field size of 15. And then if you right click up on table 1, say save, and you're going to save it as location. No, do not. I forgot to set the primary key. So right click, say primary key, and then you can save it again. Just do not have access create a primary key for you. We don't want that. Okay, step 14. Now we're going to create relationships between these tables. So add the therapist, billing, and patient tables to the relationships windows. Resize the field list so that each table shown in the relationships window also shows fields are visible in the field list. Define a one-to-many relationship between the primary therapist table and the related billing table using the therapist ID. Okay, so I'm going to close this location table, and then I'm going to go over here to database tools. And then you have this button here that's relationships. So I'm going to click on relationships, and this window opens up. And we're going to add the billing table, the patient table, and the therapist table. So I'm going to put patient table, and then you're going to resize it so that you can see all your fields. And put billing in the middle. It doesn't really matter where you place them. I'm just doing that so that for ease of you being able to see it. Okay, so we're going to create what are called foreign keys and relationships. You remember when we set up the billing table, we said the patient ID and the therapist ID were foreign keys. What a foreign key means is that it's a primary key in another table, and that there is a relationship between those two tables. And when you say a one-to-many relationship, that's one of there's several different types of relationships. A one-to-many relationship says that for instance, for our therapist ID from therapist to billing, it's saying that for the ID that is in therapist ID, there's going to be one therapist ID corresponding to that number. But that therapist ID may have many different billing entries into that billing table. So that's where the one-to-many is. So the way you do this is you take your primary key from the therapist table, you click and hold, and you drag it and hover over therapist ID in billing. Once you do that, this window pops up that says Edit Relationships. And it says Therapist, from the therapist table, therapist ID, to the billing table, therapist ID. And you're going to create a relationship type that is one-to-many. And then you are going to choose the option to enforce referential integrity and to cascade updates to related fields. So basically what that means is that if, for instance, if we come in here and change the therapist ID, it's going to cascade that update to change the therapist ID for those entries in the billing table. So if you have a therapist ID of 2 and then you change that therapist ID for that therapist to a 5, everywhere there's a 2 in the billing table is going to change it to a 5. And then just click create when you're done, and it creates this nice little line. Okay, second, we're going to define a one-to-many relationship between the primary patient table and the related billing table. So we're going to do the same thing from patient ID to patient ID. And then we're going to enforce referential integrity and to cascade updates. And say create. And then if you look at the figure on the next page, you'll see that it looks just like what I have here as well. And then once you're done, you can save it and then close your relationships window, compact and repair your database. and then close it and submit it. And we are done. Have a great day. Bye.